So I'm watching Doctor Who, great TV show by the way, and I see this scene.
I need to speak to whoever lives in this house right now.
I live here.
You're the police.
Yes, and this is where I live. You got a problem with that?
How many rooms?
I'm sorry, what?
On this floor, how many rooms on this floor? Count them for me now.
Why?
Because it will change your life.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
6.
Look.
Look where?
Exactly where you don't want to look, where you never want to look. The corner of your eye. Look behind you.
But it's not possible. How's that possible?
There's a perception filter all around the door. Sensed it last time I was here. Should have seen it.
That's a whole room. That's a whole room I've never even noticed.
The filter stops you noticing. Something came here a while ago to hide. It's still hiding, and you need to uncuff me now.
So the whole time she could actually see the door, but never noticed it until she was made aware of it. And I think for a lot of us that sounds kind of familiar. So I started to think, are there things all around us that we don't see, not because they're invisible or something, but because these things are geared purposefully in a way that allows them to go undetected by our consciousness? So I decided to do some research into this, and I came across a lot of key terms that I found quite interesting, and the deeper I got into it, I decided that I would make a video. And this theory may consist of about 2 to 3 videos, and not because it's a mass amount of information. There's just a few different components that need to be understood before I think you can really grasp my theory. So let's jump right into it. Down the rabbit hole we go. Inattentional blindness. So in order to fully understand my theory on how inattentional blindness ties into the Mandela effect, first I do have to go a bit in depth on memories and how our brain functions and processes information consciously and subconsciously, which even on its own, I think being that the Mandela effect does revolve so much around memories, is something that is important to discuss regardless. And I mean, if we don't even fully understand how our brains uses memories to affect and sometimes inadvertently affect the way we see the world around us, we could potentially leave ourselves vulnerable to many manipulations. Okay, so human memory is broken into 3 parts. You have sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. Now, sensory memory is the shortest term element of memory. It is the ability to retain impressions of sensory information after the original stimuli have ended. So the 5 senses are sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. But those that are more spiritually aware, and also those that are Mandela affected, we know that there are many more senses than that. I mean, you can feel when a shift has happened, and you can sense when there's an energy around you, and whether that energy be negative or positive is something that can be sensed. But being that those type of senses aren't easily labeled and can't be classified and put into pretty little boxes, is not something that's really taken into account, most of the time written off as supernatural. But those would be the major senses that we have and that we use for our sensory memory, along with others. Sensory memory is only capable of retaining information for a very short period of time. This type of memory allows your eye to have a larger field of vision by remembering images that your eye has already focused on. So in actuality, our eyes field of vision is quite small, and because of sensory memory, we're able to remember stimulus our eyes already viewed. Meaning, even now, some of the objects that's in my field of vision, I'm not actually seeing them. My brain is creating those images based off my memory of them. Alright, short-term memory. Short-term memory allows us to store information for a limited amount of time. So it's responsible for deciding if that information should then be transferred to our long-term memory or simply dismissed. Now, this process is completed rather quickly. And in recent studies, scientists have identified something they call working memory, which is similar to short-term memory. However, working memory emphasizes more on how the brain manipulates information it receives. For example, a name, a phone number, or whatever else. Working memory keeps these things available for us long enough to be used, and then they're dismissed. Short-term memory, on the other hand, is a more passive concept. Okay, so long-term memory would then be the polar opposite of short-term memory. Long-term memory can be stored indefinitely. Long-term memory branches into two different categories. From the conscious side, we have explicit memory or declarative memory. It's the conscious, intentional recollection of factual information, previous experiences, and concepts. So an example of explicit memory would be remembering the time of an appointment or recollecting an event from years ago. Explicit memory can be divided into two categories: episodic memory, which stores specific personal experiences, and semantic memory, which stores factual information. Okay, so episodic memory consists of the storage and recollection of observational information attached to specific life events. Now, these memories can be things that happen to you directly or memories of events that happened around you. Episodic memory allows for a sort of mental time travel, recalling various contextual and situational details from one's previous experiences. An example of episodic memory would include the memory of entering a specific classroom for the first time, or a memory of being notified that you're being fired from your job. The retrieval of these episodic memories can be thought of as the action of mentally reliving in detail the past events that they concern. Episodic memory is believed to be the system that provides the basic support for semantic memory. Semantic memory refers to general world knowledge, facts, ideas, meaning, and concepts that can be articulated and is independent of personal experience. This includes world knowledge, object knowledge, language knowledge, and conceptual priming. Semantic memory is distinct from episodic memory. For instance, semantic memory might contain information about what a dog is, whereas episodic memory might contain a specific memory of petting a particular dog. Now, the unconscious side to long-term memory is implicit memory. Implicit memory is obtained and used unconsciously and can affect thoughts and behaviors. One of its most common forms is procedural memory, which helps people perform certain tasks without conscious awareness of these previous experiences. You can have an experience that you're not even aware of, and that experience can affect your thoughts and behaviors without you even being consciously aware of it. Now, for implicit memory, the evidence for it arises in priming. Priming is an effect in which exposure to one stimulus influences the response to another stimulus without conscious guidance or intention. Implicit memory also leads to the illusion of truth effect, which suggests that you're more likely to rate a statement as true if you've already heard it, regardless of its truthfulness. Procedural memories are automatically retrieved and utilized for the execution of integrated procedures involved in both cognitive and motor skills. Jesus, I don't know who writes this stuff in. That just basically means when you're walking, you're not thinking left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You automatically do it because you've been doing it all your life, so you're able to achieve walking on a more subconscious level. When you go to pick your phone up, you're not thinking, oh, how heavy is this? Am I going to drop it? How can I hold it? Like, how tight do I have to hold it? Like, you know how to do that, and you're able to just do it and achieve it without even being consciously aware of that. Procedural memories are created through procedural learning or repeating a complex activity over and over again until all the relevant neural systems work together to automatically produce the activity. I do not understand why they try to make everything like put so many words into something simple. It's basically what I said. You've done it all your life, so you can achieve it on a more subconscious level. Implicit procedural learning is essential for the development of any motor skill or cognitive activity. And that's going to be it on memories. I feel like I've been reading textbooks like Jesus. This was very interesting. All in all, I didn't know this much about our memories. I didn't know there were so many different ways our brains processes information. So this was very interesting, and I think this was very important to know. And I'm going to do another video because this video is already so long, and I feel like I've just been reading textbooks or something. So my next video will go into inattentional blindness and my theory with that. So I'm going to end the video here. I do think maybe on your own time, maybe even go deeper into memories, because it's very interesting stuff. So I'll catch you guys next time.